What's happening YouTube? It's Frankie Davey. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well. I put out on my Instagram for all of you guys to ask me a load of questions. It's been a while since we've done this. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Q&A time. But first, before we get into that, make sure you are following me on Instagram so you don't miss anything, at Frankie_Davey. I'll leave it on screen. Let's go. First question, how much do you deviate from your regular diet while on vacation? I thought this is fitting because, as you can see, I am on holiday at the moment. If I'm honest, I don't really have a diet per se. I just like to eat whole, real foods at least 80% of the time. When I'm on holiday, I still adhere to that slightly, but of course I'm going to be indulging a lot more than when I'm at home. So I would say overall I indulge more when I'm on holiday, but in general I still do like to eat whole, real foods as much as possible because it makes me feel good. It gets the best out of my body. What this might look like is, for breakfast in the morning, I'll either skip it or I'll have quite high protein. And then because I'm on holiday, I might have some pancakes and I might have some waffles on the side, which at home I wouldn't do. And then when I'm in the sun, my appetite isn't as high as it usually is. So throughout the day, I'll just be drinking coffee, water, plenty of fruits that hydrate me. And then at dinner time, that is where, again, I'll have plenty of good quality meats, plenty of fish, and then plenty of desserts. So that's sort of how I weigh it up, really. I try not to eat loads throughout the day, especially when I'm on holiday, because I don't want to be full, I don't want to be sluggish. That's pretty much how I do it, but as I said, my diet doesn't change too much because I don't like to look at it as a diet. I just eat things that make me feel good and things that I like to eat that make me feel happy. How much sleep do you try to shoot for optimum recovery? I try to aim between 7 and 9 hours sleep every night where possible. Obviously, there's different things that can determine whether I do get that 7 to 9 hours sleep. And also, it's not always just about the duration, it's also the quality, obviously REM sleep. I know there's various things that you can wear to track it. I personally don't, because I feel like I'll get very fixated with the numbers. It's something that I've looked into, so I'm not gonna rule it out. I always aim for 7 to 9 hours, and that personally suits me very well. What natural sun cream do you use, bro? So as you may or may not know, I don't personally use sun cream. It's not something I've used for a good few years now. I like to keep everything natural where I can, when possible. When I was out in South Africa for a month, 38-degree heat, didn't wear any sun cream, didn't burn once. I think there's many things that you can do to your body to allow it to protect itself. Start off with small exposure to the sun. Obviously, don't go out in the red hot heat at midday with no protection. You have to build up your sun exposure, build a base layer of tan. But if I do want some natural protection, I use a lot of coconut oil or shea butter, and that offers your skin a bit of protection. But ultimately, you can stop your skin burning from other things. This is like reducing your inflammation from seed oils, reducing your alcohol intake. A lot of it is diet-based, I'll admit, a lot of it is diet-based. So if you factor all of them things in, and also when you feel your body getting hot and you feel like you're burning, don't go through the pain, go and seek some shade, put some clothes on, cover up. And that ultimately is how I stop myself from burning without the use of sun creams and other things like that. What is your main source of revenue? Is it boxing or social influencing? Now this is a good question and I do want to address it because I get this question a lot. I also get comments saying, bro's got rich parents, bro's the son of a billionaire, which both of those aren't true. All the stuff I have now, I've done myself. I've worked hard for what I've got so far. However, to answer the question, I have multiple sources of income and I think that's the best way to be, so I'm not reliant on just one source. Income from boxing varies according to what level you're at. Me, given that I'm at the start of my career, early on level fights, obviously don't pay as much as the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, when they're on millions per fight. Early on, you're very reliant upon sponsors, and obviously I'm greatly appreciative to all the people that have sponsored me in the past and currently do sponsor me. Otherwise, I have a few businesses that I run on the side, and of course I also have social media. Social media has been a big thing for me. Since I started boxing, I've always been quite active on social media. It's something that I've built across multiple platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube. I have a lot of platforms that are all running at the same time, and it's mainly run by me, I'll be honest. I don't know whether you know this, most of you may not know this, but most of it is run by me. I have a few people that help me out. I am very fortunate that I have you guys that want to watch the content that I produce. That means a lot. And as such, obviously brands are then interested, they want to pay to promote things on my channels and sponsorships, etc, etc. And again, as I'm sure you guys know, I wouldn't just promote any random rubbish. I've turned down plenty of money for brands that want to promote on the channel and want to promote on this because I don't really align with their values and their brand. Yeah, I'm not one of them that just, yeah, give me the money, give me the money. I like to think that that will pay off in the long run as well. But back to the question, my main source of income at the moment is not boxing. No, obviously that you do get paid to fight. What I earn outside of boxing is currently a lot more than what I earn per fight. Do you drink black coffee? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. My favorite coffee in the morning is a black coffee, no milk, no sugar, or recently I have been adding raw milk and raw honey. But yeah, coffee is a big thing for me. I like to only limit it to 2 or 3 per day max. and all before 1 or 2 p.m. where possible, because of the effects it has on your sleep, etc. But right now I'm sipping on an iced Americano. Plain, no milk, no sugar. I've got a little bit of a thing for flat whites on the occasion, or I might have a vanilla latte if I'm feeling a little bit fancy. But otherwise, I like it bitter, strong. Wake up in the morning, that sets me up for the day. You know, if you have a nice, sharp coffee, I'm ready to go, ready to attack the day, smash anything that comes in front of me. What is the one cake you can't stand? There has to be one. Oh. I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of fruit cake. You know, the one you get at Christmas, the really rich, I guess Christmas cake, but the fruit cake, I find it can be dry. You know, that thick marzipan layer on the top. I can take or leave that, but most other cakes, honestly, if it's there, I'm smashing it. And you guys all know that. But yeah, fruit cake, that's not really the one for me. When you're out of camp, how much running do you do? Well, injuries aside, I know I always joke about how I don't like running. In the summer especially, I do actually really enjoy running. The act of getting out of the door and beginning the run is the hardest part. It always will be, it always has been. Once I'm past that and I'm actually a few miles into the run, I do really enjoy it. Injuries aside, you know, I have had a little knee injury recently. I would run anywhere between 3 and 5 times a week, especially when it's hot and sunny. I've always said this, I like training in the sun, it motivates me even more. In the winter, it's a struggle to get up and get outside and run. In or out of camp, I still like to run between 3 and 5 times a week. Out of camp, it'll be less intense runs, just more runs for distance and more enjoyment. In camp, it's more short, sharp sprints and a couple of long runs. I chose this question because it's an interesting one. What is the future of boxing in your opinion? And then underneath they've said, do you think boxing will end up using virtual reality for training? Do you think regulations should change to make the sport safer? Perhaps introducing headgear for professional fights? Well, to speak on that one quickly, I don't believe introducing headgear for professional fights will ever happen. There's studies that show that headguards actually increase the rate of concussion in a fight, because you think your brain is inside your skull, and then if you put a headguard on, your head is then inside a headguard, so it's rattling even more. Also, the fact that your head is a bigger target, it's also heavier, so when you get hit, you've got more weight that's slinging your head back. So no, I don't think they'll ever be introduced into professional fights. It also takes away from the commercial value of a fight. You think you've got the 2 biggest stars in boxing and then they put a headguard on. I personally don't believe it will ever happen. Virtual reality, another thing, I don't think that'll happen either, if I'm honest. Boxing is one of the very few things that probably won't be affected by AI and by future technology, because it's instinctive, it's within us, it's primal that we fight as humans. You can see this because if you go out in a restaurant or you go out in a bar and there's a fight, instantly everyone turns their head and goes and looks at the fight, or it's within us, everyone wants to see a fight. Virtual reality is not going to take that away, I don't personally believe. The only thing I do think will change in boxing is potentially similar to football, like VAR. I think they might bring that in so that they can assess decisions live in real time and make sure that the ref is not missing anything, you know, low blows, intentional headbutts, ear bites, who knows. I think that might be introduced, or already is introduced. I think the WBC are already looking at that. Otherwise, I think boxing stays how it is, and it's a sport that everyone knows and loves. How much water do you drink a day? I personally don't really track my water intake. It's something that I used to do, and I used to try and aim for a gallon a day. But the more I've learned, water isn't what hydrates you. Water is a vessel for electrolytes that hydrate you. It's not about downing gallons and gallons or liters and liters of water per day. If anything, that's doing the opposite. It's got the opposite effects. It's dehydrating the body because it's flushing you out. What you want to do is drink water with electrolytes or with salt in, which your body can then retain, and that is then hydrating you. Otherwise, water is not the only thing that does hydrate the body. You've got fruits, either in the form of edible or fruit juice. You've got milk, raw milk, and of course you've got salts and electrolytes. It's not as simple as just down a load of water, because that, as I said, has the opposite effect. If I was to average a guess to answer your question, probably between 3 and 5 litres, but I've switched from downing as much water as possible to just drinking when I'm thirsty, listening to my body and listening to the cues that it gives me. How do you get used to the taste of dates? Well, I'm guessing from your question that you don't like dates. I actually remember the first time I had dates, and I was on holiday in Egypt, aged 6 or 7, and they weren't medjool dates, which are currently my favorite, but I just remember tasting them. I said to my dad, I was like, what are these? They're just like sugary goodness. And now I eat dates pretty much every day. They're like my pre-workout snack. I'll have 2 or 3 of those, or sometimes even have them post-workout as well, because they're, again, good to hydrate you. I had to get used to the taste. I don't know. Everyone's got different taste buds. Everyone's different. I personally I love dates. I can't get enough of them. I've just been to a market in Turkey today. I bought a load, so yeah, I'm stocked up. Would you rather never eat eggs again or never eat cake again? Ooh. I think I'd rather never eat eggs again because there's eggs in cake. So loophole in the system, 1-0 Frankie. Plus cake was my first love. I can't abandon that. Cake always comes first. It's been a thing with me. I've loved cake for longer than I can remember. Eggs are very good for you and I love them too. They're very nutritious, but we can't neglect the cake. The cake king lives on. Favorite cake? This is a very difficult one. I'm sure you can imagine. I've had many a cake in my time and very good ones as well. But the last 2-3 years, I've noticed the level of cake has just increased and every cake I have just keeps outdoing itself. I went to George's Bakery, which is in Cambridgeshire, and he had some insane cakes. Like I had a pistachio, white chocolate and raspberry cake. That to this day is still one of the best cakes I've ever had. Yeah, that was insane. I'm also very fortunate. I've got some lovely people around me that like to bake for me quite regularly, and I've had some great cakes from them. I've had a 3-layer cake with cookie dough in between each layer, as well as icing. That was another personal favorite. I remember for my 21st birthday, I had a cake in the shape of my first ever professional boxing shorts, and that was a salted caramel cake. That again was up there. I could talk about cake all day long. I'm not gonna bore you guys. Those 3 are probably my top 3 for now. How do you mentally prepare for a fight? Also, any advice for aspiring boxers? Fighting is something that I believe is instinctive within all of us, if push came to shove, if you needed to defend yourself. However, boxing, MMA, combat sports is a crazy thing to do. To want to step inside the ring and go toe-to-toe with another human being, I'm very aware is abnormal. With that being said, in terms of mentally preparing, I think a lot of it comes down to your training. If you've trained hard and you've trained well with good coaches, you've got your technique and you've improved your technique, you're fit, the confidence comes from there, and that too makes sure that you are the best version of yourself. In training camps, fighters always get injured. There's always going to be injuries. To know that you've done the best you can in terms of training, that's for me how I like to mentally prepare best. On top of that, there's a lot of things you can do mentally in terms of visualization. I'm very big into manifestation. You can visualize the outcome of your fight, visualize walking to the ring, visualize stepping through the ropes, listening to your ring walk, visualize the outcome of the fight. A lot of that, there's studies that there's proven this. The mind doesn't know the difference between your thoughts and reality. Just try this, sit down, lay there in a nice dark room, quiet place, and just visualize something strong. You can then begin to feel the emotions that you would feel if you were in that very moment in reality. I might do another video on this topic because it is something I'm quite passionate about and it's very interesting to me. But that is another thing that you can do to mentally prepare for any situation, even if it's not boxing or if it's not a fight. Does your mind ever wonder sometimes, like, why am I doing this to myself? Because boxing is a very tough sport, especially at the highest level. Yes, quite simply, yes. I remember the times, even as an amateur, sitting in the change rooms thinking, what am I doing? Why am I about to go into the ring with all my friends and family there, with the risk of being humiliated, being embarrassed? Why am I doing this? But from long times out of the sport, when I've had injuries or just realized that there's nothing that compares to the feeling of getting in the ring and having a fight. The buzz afterwards, the build up before, the nerves, the anticipation, you can't match that with anything else. So yes, my mind does often think, even as a pro, you have a bad spar, you got a black eye, bruised nose, you come out and you think, why am I doing this? Like, there's easier ways of making money, there's easier ways of making a living. But ultimately, I still come back to boxing because there's no feeling like it, nothing compares. It's not a normal sport, really. Push through the discomfort and the bad days, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what keeps me motivated as well, because as I said, there's definitely days where I'm like, yeah, let's sack this off. But I'm still here, we're still pushing, and we're still grinding to try and reach the top. I'm a boxer who has a couple of sponsors, but nothing major. Any advice on how to obtain maybe more supportive sponsors or higher end brands that can do a bit more to help? Yes, there's definitely stuff you can do. First off, social media. Your presence online is a massive thing already, and it's only gonna get more that way inclined. So what I would do is focus on building your brand, building your name as much as possible. Get yourself out there in a way that you wanna be presented. Build your online presence, get your name out there. That's the way the world is going. It already is that way inclined, but it's only getting more important to have an online presence. Even if you're not an athlete, celebrity per se, just to have a normal presence. Social media page is the norm nowadays. Even if you're dating, if you're trying to look for girls or vice versa, you need to have some form of online presence, be it Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. People need to know that you are who you say you are. So that is very important. I'd build your online presence as much as possible. Get your name out there, get in front of brands, get in front of people that are gonna have an interest in you. In turn, you can then offer them something. If you've got a large presence, a large amount of followers, you can then offer them promotion, you can offer them advertisement in return for money, which can then help your training, and it just spirals along from there. Even if you're not a boxer, I feel like this advice is still very fitting. Build your online presence, and sponsorships, brands do come off the back of that. One thing I will add is stick to your morals when you do that. What you post early will stay online forever. If you're trying to build your online profile today, think about what you post. It can be very important. However, don't worry too much about what camera to get, what mic should I use. I started when I was posting TikToks early in 2020, 2021. I started with just my iPhone. On TikTok app actually, or you can edit on CapCut, edit on different free softwares, and just grow from there. Be yourself, be natural. People want authenticity. So that for me is what I like to try and do as much as possible, just be authentic, be myself. And another thing, if you're looking for boxing sponsors, look around local businesses in your area. Go and tell them, I'm a local boxer, would you like to support me? Pitch it in a way where you're an aspiring professional or at this point in your career and I'm looking to get here. Sell yourself to them, see what they're willing to offer you. Tell them it's tax deductible as well. You could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? I love the sun, so it would be somewhere that's hot pretty much all year round because I thrive in the sun. With that being said, I would definitely go home, go back to the UK in the winter. I like Christmas, my birthday, Christmas Eve. I like spending that time with my family, close friends. However, aside from that, I just want to be in the sun, I want to be training. My issue is my boxing gym is in England, it's in Harlow, and I truly believe it's one of the best boxing gyms in the world, or especially in the UK, so that's where I'm a bit torn. However, if I could live anywhere, to be honest, I haven't given it that much thought. This is quite a big decision to make on the spot. Yeah, anywhere hot, or just to travel a bit, maybe spend a few months in Dubai. I don't really know, it's quite a big decision to make on the spot where I want to live. No, I'm not really sure. I think I'd probably travel to different places for a few months at a time and then also come back to the UK, either when it's hot or for Christmas. If you could choose who you could fight for a WBC belt, who would it be? The WBC belt, one of the most prestigious world title belts in boxing. I think me and Canelo could get it on at super middleweight. In a few years' time, get it on at super middleweight for the WBC Championship of the world. Cinco de Mayo weekend as well. That would be good, yeah. Who is your favorite MMA fighter? I'll be honest, I do watch MMA, I do watch UFC. I'm a little bit of a casual, but I must admit, I do like Max Holloway. His striking, his recent knockout against Justin Gaethje, insane. It was cold. He was winning every single round, and then in the 5th round, he stood there and pointed to the floor and wanted to trade out in the last 10 seconds, and then knocked him out cold. That for me, I'm a fan, I'm a big fan. Tom Aspinall is another one. Heavyweight from the UK. He's doing bits on the scene right now. I truly believe he's very talented. Again, very good with his hands. For a heavyweight, he's got some insane hand speed. I'd love to see him go up against John Jones. I think that's a fight that needs to be made. So yeah, Max Holloway, Tom Aspinall, they're my two favorites at the moment. Obviously we've got Conor McGregor. He probably got me into MMA or UFC, and I'm sure that's the case for many individuals. He's obviously up there, but whether he's fighting again or not, I don't know. It doesn't look very promising at the moment. And that's a wrap on the questions. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. If you have, you'll have to let me know in the comments, and I might do this more regularly. And yeah, I'm gonna go catch some more sun. Thank you very much for watching. Follow all my socials, Frankie_Davey, Team Davey.